need a detective, Senora.
It's been some time since all three of us have been together.
Season 2 is premiering a week earlier than expected. We're getting 2 episodes at a time. It's like a movie every week. How do you guys hope that people watch The Alienist? And like, how do you guys consume television on your own?
Well, I think especially right now when so many people are at home and have watched everything that has been on their televisions, I think it will be really exciting for, people to be able to watch 2 at a time. I certainly like that. I like kind of being able to really get into something. I think it's nice though that you do have to wait a little bit for the next. I think this show is so suspenseful and is about the mystery, and I think that the excitement of that kind of increases as the days go by. So I think it's perfect that people can watch 2 at a time and get to see this whole story in 4 weeks. And I think people are really starved for new content, and I'm really excited to give that to the people.
What is being hidden from us? Shame on you. Shame on you all.
Tell her to go to hell.
Your show's not exactly kind to police, but there's been some discussion too about crime shows and about sort of like if shows that feature a lot of crime make people feel like maybe there is more crime than there actually is. Like there's always a serial killer over my shoulder, that kind of thing. Is that something you guys think about either personally or like making the show, or is it something that you've thought more about recently?
When it comes to well done historical shows like ours, you learn a lot about the present because you have to know about history to know where we are right now at the moment. Sometimes it's a very sad conclusion to realize that we haven't advanced that much, and to see how incredibly current these subject matters that we touch in our show still are. If you think that the show is set in 1897 and the book was published in 1996, I think. But in our show, I think you learn a lot about these issues about discrimination and where it comes from, where it began. It is a history lesson, but an entertaining one that I think also attracts young people and hopefully makes them, understand a couple of things.
I'll take care of this scandalous lady detective.
It's an important story for the New York Times.
This season 2, you're diving a little deeper into like the world of yellow journalism with the introduction of Hearst. What was that like for you, Luke? Like getting into that whole world of competing sensationalist journalism?
It hasn't really changed at all. It just got worse, frankly. And Hearst was sort of the godfather of the yellow pages and the not the yellow pages, but the tabloids. And it was about sensationalizing anything to sell a paper. John Moore doesn't work for Hearst. He works at the New York Times, but he's very aware of what goes on there and fights very much the corner for the truth and for the truth to be heard and for the newspapers to use their power in the correct manner. You could draw a parallel so quickly with how the media and how the press is used and abused today. We haven't really made that up in the show. It's actually, that's how it was. And the headlines used to be put on big billboards in New York City on Newspaper Row, and now we just have bulletins at the bottom of news channels that tells us the headlines. So nothing much has really changed.
And Sarah's kind of getting the brunt of it too, with at least towards the end of the season, or what I've seen, sort of like scandalous female detective, and it's not really necessarily working out for him as well as you'd think.
No, I think that people of that time even are starting to see right through it. I think that people are smart and are seeing through that sort of 1897 clickbait that is kind of being spewed about Sarah Howard, and but I think it's important to show that even though we're telling a story with very progressive, liberal, open-minded, modern characters, they are still living in a time where there was so much injustice and there was so much inequality. And I think it was always very important for me that Sarah's journey was not just a bed of roses. You know, I think it's still important to show the fight and what she's up against every day. And yes, the lady detective with the unflattering sketch in the paper, you know, is an example of that.
The show spends a lot of time at Delmonico's. Do you guys have a Delmonico's order? Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you get? Like, are you a vichyssoise guy? Are you ordering a steak?
We actually, last time we had the after party for the premiere in New York at the real Delmonico's, which was very fun, very, very fun. I have to say I've never been, but there was actually a period food artist on set for the scenes at Delmonico's, making kind of that old-fashioned food. Well, Dr. Chrysler orders Sarah Howard terrapin soup every time. So I guess that's his order.
Have any of you ever had terrapin soup?
Nope.
So, thank God.
We are neither our skin. Which of us are not monsters?